Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about something that's quietly working behind the scenes to keep our digital world safe: the Intrusion Detection System, or IDS for short. You've probably never heard of it, but trust me, it's like a digital gatekeeper, and it's always on the lookout for trouble. So let's dive in and figure out how this thing actually works. So, what is an intrusion detection system? Well, at its core, it's a specialized monitoring tool. Its entire job is to just sit there and watch everything happening on a network or a computer. It's constantly scanning for anything that looks even a little bit off, malicious activity, someone breaking the rules, anything like that. You can basically think of it as the silent alarm system for your network. This image right here is the perfect way to think about it. An IDS is like a digital security guard. See how it's positioned? It's placed in a really strategic spot where it can inspect all the data coming in right after it gets past the first line of defense, like a firewall, but before it can actually hit your computers. It's that final checkpoint at the front door. Okay, so if they're all basically digital security guards, does that mean they all work the same way? Do they all have the same playbook? Not at all. They can actually be pretty different, and it all depends on what they're watching and maybe more importantly, how they're watching it. It really boils down to two main ways we can categorize an IDS. First, by its location, which is just a fancy way of saying where it's doing the watching, and second, by its detection method, in other words, how it's doing the watching. Let's tackle location first. All right, first up, location. Are we talking about a system that's watching the whole neighborhood or one that's just focused on a single house?
And that gives us two main types. On one hand, you've got a network-based IDS, or NIDS. This one is all about the big picture. It watches the traffic for a whole network of computers. But on the other hand, you have the host-based IDS, or HIDS. This is way more focused. It's a piece of software you install on a single device, and it only monitors what's happening on that one machine.
Now let's get to the second way we can classify these systems, and this is where things get really interesting. We're talking about the detection method, the actual strategy the IDS uses to spot trouble. So there are two totally different philosophies here. A signature-based system is kind of like a detective who has a book full of mugshots. It has this huge database of known attacks, and it's just looking for a perfect match. If it sees something it recognizes, boom, alarm goes off. But an anomaly-based system, that's more like a detective who works on gut instinct. It first learns what normal looks like on the network, creating a baseline, and then it flags anything that seems weird or out of place. But here's the catch, and it is a huge one. Neither of these methods is perfect. And for the people trying to keep a network safe, choosing between them means making a really critical trade-off. And this table really lays it all out. That signature-based method, it's fantastic at catching threats we already know about, and it almost never gets it wrong. But its weakness is a big deal. It's completely blind to brand new attacks, what we call zero-day threats. Now on the flip side, the anomaly-based method, well, it can spot those new attacks, but its weakness, it's prone to false positives. It can get a little paranoid and flag perfectly normal activity just because it's slightly unusual. And this right here is what people in cybersecurity call the detection dilemma. It's this constant, tricky balancing act between being certain about the threats you know and being able to spot something totally new. So I want to leave you with this question. Which do you think is better? A system that is practically perfect at catching every criminal we already know about, or one that has a fighting chance to spot a completely new type of threat that nobody has ever seen before? It's a really tough question, and the answer to it pretty much defines how we're all protected online.